morning, evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the 2 Point Conversion Speaks on It. See what I did there? I like to combine two shows. That was like my happiest thing this week so far. So, you know, give me a little kudos on that. We are here to talk on whatever topic you want to talk on. So here's the thing. If you're on Twitter, Danny's going to try and see if he gets your questions and answers, but it hasn't been working. So you kind of need to go to, I kind of need to set up the chat, but you kind of need to go to YouTube or Twitch, or what's the other one, Dan?
But it's YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
Or Facebook.
But I have figured out how to get comments on Twitter, so Twitter is a go. We're good.
Never mind. Twitter is a go. We are happy, more than happy today to welcome, I'm more than happy today to welcome Mr. Adam Rink.
Thank you.
Was very, very, very generous with his time. And
who made you switch the time to accommodate his own schedule instead of working around you? I don't know if that's accommodating, but thank you.
Well, you're are you going to go see wrestling or something tonight?
No, I got the kids. We're going to the zoo tonight. There's a special I don't want to say exhibit, but they have it's glow night at the zoo. So at dusk they have it all lit up, and it's a reason to get us to pay, because we have passes to the zoo. So it's a reason to get us to pay extra tickets. We got to go to glow night. No, but it is really dope. We go to the holidays and we stuff like that, and it's coming, and we're out in Coachella Valley, which, by the way, about 100 yards, probably a little bit further than that, that direction is where Coachella is happening this week. So I won't be here. I'm getting out of town. But we did get a chance to, but we're out here having fun, and so I like to take the kids to the glow night. So that was the accommodation. I was like, oh yeah, it should be I always agree to everything. Yeah, man, and then I'm like, oh wait. Then I asked my daughter, I'm like, can we go?
Glow, I thought of, what is that? The glorious
wrestling.
Yeah.
Gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
I'm like, that's not a what? Wait, what?
By the way,
you guys watch wrestling?
Excellent show on Facebook.
Oh, sure.
On Netflix. What did I say?
Facebook. Thanks is my the usual co-host, and he was really excited to talk with you, Mr. Rank. So that's on you.
That is my fault. I'll have to come back then at some other point.
Of course you will. We hope so. All right. So usually the format is that each person picks two topics, and then we talk about the topics.
Right.
As so as you are the what's the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
Thank you. As you're and this is without drugs. This is totally drug free. As you are the guest, Mr. Well, you both are guests.
Yeah.
Do you want to flip a coin? No? Okay. So as you are the guest, Mr. Rank, what is the first topic you would like to pontificate on? Oh, I love that word.
Let's take a moment, because we were talking before the show started that your ringtone is from The Wire.
It is.
Thank you, Adam.
I think that we should talk about best police drama series, and I will let you both take the wheels with the Wire discussion. And I get it. Everybody loves The Wire. The Wire, incredibly acted, well written, and everything like that. I do want to say, though, my personal favorite, and this might be a East Coast, West Coast type of thing, but being somebody who has spent most of their life in Southern California, I really feel that The Shield with Michael Chiklis does not get enough affirmation as one of the best police dramas of all time. Now, obviously, The Wire gets mentioned for obvious reasons, but I always feel like The Shield, people just kind of overlook The Shield. When you're talking about greatest wrestlers of all time, nobody mentions Sting, but Sting's awesome.
He is awesome.
I think The Shield was so well done, and it's one of those series, and I won't spoil anything, but it's literally one of the only things that I can think of that the very first episode is paid off at the very end. It ties through. And I think that when they started the show, and the way they wrote the pilot and everything, they could have really painted themselves into a corner because Vic Mackey, who's played by Michael Chiklis, gets very popular and people start to kind of like identify with him. But it is something, or not identify, but like they're sympathetic towards him. But then you're like, wait a minute, like but ultimately he's a terrible person. And like it does eventually pay off at the end. So I think for that part of it, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think that there was a season where you're like, all right, let's wrap this show up already. I thought they did a really nice job with it. And there's some other series where that's not the case, like every single one, it feels like. So I think that when it comes to cop procedural dramas, that The Shield deserves more love.
Okay, so two things. One, I never said that The Wire was my favorite. I just
I got you.
I just like his intro.
Mm-hmm.
The Wire was way too violent for me. Like I'm a baby. Like I can't watch shows that are ultra violent because they make me want to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think as police dramas go, what was the one? And I'm probably dating myself, but Hill Street Blues. Hill Street Blues was one of my favorite, and I think it was one of my favorite because I think that all the other shows kind of took a little bit from here, from Hill Street, and a little bit from there, from Hill Street, and it didn't really end well, but it was a show that you could watch like every week. I would say the Idris Elba, the BBC show that he plays a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Luther.
Luther.
Yes.
Is really, really good. And it's not because Idris Elba's that hot. I mean, is he?
He is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. It's a really good show. And now I'm kind of contradicting myself because Luther's pretty violent. It's a pretty violent show. But Idris Elba's Luther and Hill Street Blues would be my top two favorite. If I had to pick one, I would go Luther. Because the BBC dramas are really good. Unless they're like King Queen stuff, but the dramas are really good. So I'm going to go Luther.
I have a confession. So I did watch the first season of The Shield, loved it, and for some reason I never watched. I stopped watching, so I need to pick that back up. I'm slacking. So Gladys, what was that show you mentioned? I've never heard of it before. I'm really intrigued.
Hill Street Blues?
Oh, not Luther. I've watched Luther. Luther is.
I was kidding.
I love Luther. What was the other one, Gladys? I'm sorry.
Hill Street Blues?
Yeah, I've never heard of Hill Street Blues.
Probably because I'm way, way older than you. Hill Street Blues, always like, let me see the dates.
Can we stream it? What channel was it on?
Yeah,
was it like CBS? Does Tom Selleck in it?
Is it like the same era as In the Heat of the Night? I loved as a kid. I probably shouldn't have been watching it, but my grandmother watched me, so I would watch what she watched. So In the Heat of the Night is up there.
Is that the one that was Hill Street Blues on USA Network with Rob Estes and Mitzi Keptour?
NBC.
Oh.
1981 was his first episode. Last episode, 1987.
Okay, that's okay. I'll have to look that one up.
It's really good, and even for that era, it had a multiracial cast. Mm-hmm. And the really tall guy, who's the really tall guy who he would always end it with y'all be careful out there. But it had Bruce Whites in there, who you always know, even no matter who he plays, he's always going to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's a cop, he's that guy that's, he's going to be a bad cop. But yeah, Hill Street Blues. But wait, what was yours? The Shield? No.
The Shield.
Danny's.
Mine is The Wire. And
yours
I know
The Wire for sure.
I know you talked about Idris Elba, but the hatred that the people have for Stringer Bell is something that I've never seen before. And granted, it's well deserved. I'm not spoiling anything, but
no, you're not. You're not. I mean, Was The Wire? Okay, so I saw like a couple episodes, and I'm like, what the? It was HBO, right? That's why it was so. It could be so much more violent than.
But it is a slow burn. Like the first 3 episodes are a real slow burn, and then it starts to pick up. Cal, you do not love Stringer Bell. Delete that comment.
Dare you.
No, you.
Stop
How
it.
dare you? That is the most. Oh God, Cal. Oh, we have to
Stringer
talk.
Bell. Come on now.
Oh,
That's the thing is like people identify with characters that you shouldn't be identifying with.
yeah.
I think it goes back. It's like a whole like Darth Vader type of thing. It's like, hey, like I understand, you know, he looks badass, but you're like he did murder a bunch of children.
Yeah,
I don't know,
for real.
like even the Force Ghost. Like, should they allow him to still be a Force Ghost? You're like, whatever. Although I guess you could reason that Luke Skywalker kind of murdered a lot of people too, because it's not like the Death Star. I think it was Kevin Smith who put it out there, like the Death Star, especially the second one that they were building. Like there's a lot of independent contract. I think this is the plot of Clerks, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, where they're talking about like the independent contractors that are working on the Death Star. And like, well, if you're signed up to work on the Death Star, you're sort of siding with the Empire. And then what about like all the single mothers that are working on the original Death Star? Like there's got to be a daycare center there, right? Like you bring your kids to work. Like did they deserve to get blown up? Like I know, like, you know, the ultimately the Death Star is evil. But it's, you know, Tarkin's not a cool guy, but you know, Tarkin's secretary just needs to make a buck. You know, she grew up on Tatooine, is trying to get away from it all. She's bringing her kids to work because, you know, the babysitter canceled because her AT-AT wouldn't start or whatever. And then, you know, then they get blown up. It just seems like a little harsh, but I guess. But sometimes you just identify with kids. And by the way, like, again, spoilers to all this, like Kylo Ren. Like people like, I'm sorry. Like there's people who are like, I love Kylo Ren. I'm like, no, my sister does this. She's like, I love Kylo Ren. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, did you miss the part in episode 7 where he kills his dad, Han Solo? Like you are not coming back from that. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't want your whole life to be miserable. Actually, I do. No, I want your whole life to be miserable. Like, how dare you? Oh, but it's, you know, but whatever.
All right.
You know what? Go ahead, Gladys. My bad.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I always feel that way when I watch the Avengers. Like, you know, the Hulk has killed at least 150 people just jumping from building to building, but he's the Hulk. Like, that's what he does. And if you just happen to be collateral damage, I'm sorry. Can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs.
That is, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because I was having a discussion with somebody about Batman versus Superman, and people hate that movie because I don't know, like people, I think like the same reason that people would rather listen to Nickelback than like good bands or whatever. Because the Avengers is more like Nickelback, like Walmart superheroes. Like that makes sense. Like the people in DC Comics, even the heroes aren't necessarily great people. And so I think that one of the cool things that Batman versus Superman did is that they took the final battle from Man of Steel and they put it under the lens of the way that Bruce Wayne is watching this all unfold of like, yeah, like it's great that Superman's, you know, getting rid of Zod and whatnot. But at the same time, you're destroying this town. Like there's a lot of destruction going on and somebody needs to pay for that. And Bruce Wayne obviously is a little upset about this. And Bruce Wayne is like the only one in his rational mind thinking like, yeah, should we trust this alien who cannot be defeated by anybody outside of me? And I really wish, and while I loved Batman versus Superman, I will say that the Justice League, the one they put out in theaters, sort of sucked. And I would have made the whole movie the Justice League fighting zombie Superman, but that's here nor there. I know that's not the discussion that we're having. I kicked it off and already took it off into a different direction and a different tangent, and I apologize, but you know, that's what I do.
That's a hell of an idea.
Wasn't that what the whole? Which one was it? The Marvel Age of Ultron about? Like consequential damage. You know, they're going on their way. Oh, we saved the city. Blah blah blah. But we leveled everything, and oh, what is her name? The mother that gives the picture to Tony Stark of her son. That just
Oh
happened to be
yeah.
in the building. I love her. She's like the greatest actress ever, but I can't remember her name, so probably not the greatest actress ever. Like the consequences of your actions. Not that I agreed with what they wanted to do to him, but wasn't that the whole Age of Ultron's kind of,
Yeah, I think that was his point.
I don't know. I watched the Spider-Man movies. I don't really get into Marvel too much, but
Okay.
I hope they did because it's a good point. I know that DC has covered that for years, as I'm a DC mark. So
Adam, have you seen the Batman, the new one?
no, because I have small children.
Okay.
Have I seen Encanto 90 times? Yeah. Turning Red on almost an endless loop, of course. But I don't get to see any of the new movies till everybody goes to sleep. And then even at that point, I'm like, I'm just going to watch The Real World from 1992.
Ugh.
Listen, I don't know how I got caught up into this whole thing, but I did.
The Real World?
The Real World. I like the
yeah,
MTV Challenge, and then I went back and I'm like starting to watch these Real Worlds.
Get caught up in that either. Danny, what was yours?
Real quick, a funny story about the Real World. So when I was in college, I tried out for the Real World, and I got invited. Yeah, I did. So I got invited. It was like a Hooters nearby, and like, all right, everyone's meeting here. Tell us about yourself. And
Did
I thought I was
one, like, without a shirt on.
No, I didn't. No, they did not want it. If I walked in with my shirt off, they're like, all right, we've seen enough. Go home. So everyone sits in a circle and they just kind of talk about themselves. You had all these people with all these interesting stories. And here I was like, well, one time I got stitches, and they were like, okay, we've seen enough. Have a good day, sir. Like it was the craziest thing. Like they just packed people into Hooters, didn't feed us or anything. Like, you tell us something interesting. Okay, you tell me something interesting. You tell me about yourself.
Do you think they were lying though? Do you think that was?
I think they were lying? I'm sure people were in there lying. I just wasn't that quick on my feet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people. When I bartended at Hard Rock, we did a bachelorette cattle call, which no one should ever do that ever again. Like, there were girls coming in with their husbands, there were girls coming in with their moms, there was girls coming in with their significant others who weren't guys. I'm like, because first it was really slow and no one was there, and they're like,
yeah,
oh, this might be a bummer. And then all of a sudden it's like whoosh, and you have all these girls that are just like, yeah, I just want to go on and make a couple 100,000. And I'm like, I can't even bartend anymore. I'm just gonna go walk out the back door and just sit down, and you guys let me know when this is done. I can't believe any of these reality shows are like,
right.
Yeah, that really happened.
Shouldn't they have, like, on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, they should have like a married person on there? You're like, I just want to go through the process. Like, how would that be any more ridiculous than what they're already doing? Like, right. The guy goes to the fantasy suite with 3 different girls. Like, what do you think happens in there? Like, what's going on? And then, like, I forget who it was. I think it was Ben. Or it was my friend Nick Vial. I don't think it was Nick, but I think it was Ben Higgins. And like, there was this like really attractive girl who was the first one to the fantasy suite, who finally put it together. Like, after the 3rd night, she put it together. She's like Tony Benedict figuring out how his casino was robbed. And then she runs up to him and is like, wait a minute. Did you take these other girls to the fantasy suite? And he's like, well, yeah. And she's like, oh, well, what about? And then you could just see, like, does it say Bellagio on the floor? And then bounces. This is like, oh. And then she was on BIP a couple of times, Bachelor in Paradise. She was actually one of my favorites. I felt bad for her. I'm like, oh, sweetheart. Like, how do you not get how this works? So to have a married person on there would just be fantastic. Be like, well, like, I know that I'm married. But at the same time, like, I don't think that I should stop my quest of looking for love. I just think that it's, it's a process. And I think it's important to continuously put yourself out there. I don't know. Is that wrong? I don't know.
No, that is. So we have Justice League versus Zombie Superman, A+ idea. And now we have putting a married person on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, another A+ idea.
Boom. I got great ideas. I really
Like these are pitches. Like we need to put this in a deck and send it to ABC. Like let's do it.
Let's make it
Sounds
happen.
like a great idea. The only reality show I've ever watched is Big Brother, and I stopped watching it when they started being bullies. But I don't.
So you missed. So since the very first one,
Exactly.
wasn't Dr. Will like a bully, like him and Mike Boogie? Like they weren't cool.
Well, I mean, Doctor, I think there was a difference for me between people being like
Cliquish.
psychological bullies and being
Oh,
actual
gotcha.
physical bullies.
That's
Like,
true.
You know, if you're in a house with 7 people, 8 people you don't know, you got to expect that someone's going to lie to you. And
Yeah.
why would you do it in the first place? But like when you start bullying people to get them out of the house, like physically bullying them, it's kind of like, ugh.
That's terrible.
This is awkward. I can't watch this anymore.
My favorite thing, though, was one of the most recent. It might have been the one that was last year, if not 2 years ago. Sorry, the Pandy kind of throws my timeline off. But when they had, when the cookout, when they had the cookout,
I don't think I saw that
group. Oh my gosh! So the final 5 or 6 contestants were all people of color.
Okay.
And they called their alliance the Cookout.
Oh my God.
So great. So great. I wish, honestly, like I've always wanted to be on Big Brother. And I go, I wish I would have been on that season, because then you could see it coming. And then like I would do nothing but applaud it. Be like, you know what? Yeah, of course. Like I'm gonna try to be like Terry the pilot from Survivor and realize that I have to win every challenge on my way out the door to have any chance for this. But ultimately, I'm going to walk out with like the utmost respect of like, good, I'm glad this happened. I'm like, it sucks for me that it's the one time it finally happened. I'm getting ousted, but I would have so much respect for it. That'd be like, oh yeah, this is cool. So it was actually very refreshing. And it's like, finally, like you always see that, because like they'll do like the women will at one point be like, let's all team up, which would make sense. And then they don't do it. And you're like, oh my gosh, like once,
they never do it.
They never do it. But the Cookout stuck together. And I think it was George Fraser's son who ended up winning. Gosh, I can't remember. I don't know. My memory. I swear to you, like I could tell you stuff that happened in the NFL in like 1995. But like, you want to tell me anything about what happened in the last 2 years? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember any of it.
So they had a Big Brother during the pandemic?
I get like it was after the I mean, it was towards the end of the pandemic. But yeah, because they did an All-Stars.
That's pretty brave.
They did an All-Stars. Well, everybody went through and they got tested. And once you're quarantined at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
Where else? Like the same thing that we were all going through. So,
but with 7, 8 strangers.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Hi, Danny.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm living the dream.
What was your point? What was your? We didn't do your point yet, did we?
We did not, and it's going to go off topic from what we talked about, Gladys, because now I'm very intrigued to hear about this. I have this theory, and I've gotten into this argument on Twitter multiple times, and I will continue to get in this argument until the day I die. When it comes to chicken wings, Adam, are you a flat or a drums person?
Oh, I'm a person.
That's correct. That is the correct answer. Thank you for playing.
People
who eat flats, that is a red flag.
There is something about it.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends telling me a story about how he saw, I think it was a U of A player, and he played for the Lakers, Sean Rooks, put down like 30 flats. And the way he would do it, like the way he consumed it was so, I don't know. I wish I was there. I'm repeating somebody else's story, but I'm like, that sounds awkward. And by the way, somebody who's eating flats, like that's a no-go for me. It's get these out of here. Like who prefers that? Like if you're super hungry and it's the last thing that's available, all right.
Starve.
Yeah.
Did you say starve?
Yep. If it's the only thing available, starve.
Well, I'm not sure where this falls in that, but I'm a vegan, so I don't eat chicken wings at all.
So it doesn't matter. Majority rules though, because people eat. Listen, if you're on a date and you're getting chicken wings and the other person gets flats in the date, they are probably a serial killer.
Probably, yeah. Who would prefer the? Although, no, wait. I think I used to go out with a girl who liked the flats. That was her go. Actually, I think that's why it worked out for so long. Is like I was drums and she was flats, and then we were together for a long time till she killed a bunch of people, incidentally. So yeah, I guess that theory checks out. She was a literal serial killer. No, she wasn't.
Flats or drums? Flats or drums? Flats or drums? Flats or drums?
While you think about that, the thing about drums, you can have two. You can have one in each hand,
right?
And you can eat them with no help. A flat, you have to like break it open. Like it takes work to eat a flat. It's like eating a crab. It's like eating a crab leg, right? Like it takes effort.
Yeah,
it takes effort.
I think that was the thing that Sean Rooks was doing. Is that he was putting the entire flat in his mouth and pulling it out with just the bones.
That is terrorist behavior. That is called the FBI. I have someone you need to talk to right now.
Send in SEAL Team 6 to the Buffalo Wild Wings in Indio.
Officer, he's right there.
Right there.
He's right there eating flats whole. Oh my goodness. That is wild.
I would be like calling America's Most Wanted. Being like, hello? Yeah, I found him. I don't know what he did, but he did something.
He's right here.
Watch him here. Watch. I'll put you on FaceTime. Let me show you how I'm eating the flats.
And if he's not on your list, he's about to be on your list. Just come get him before he acts.
Preemptively take this guy down.
Yeah, just give him 10 years off top. He's going to earn them.
Okay. I need to get visuals of people eating chicken wings out of my head.
You don't need that. No. Don't put that in your life.
Exactly. I forgot. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Totally forgot. All right. So I spent the last, this is really weird. I have to binge things. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't watch just one episode of the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have to watch the whole first season.
Yeah.
And I mean, why would you do it any other way? Like it's all right there. That's just, it's ridiculous.
Who does who watches one episode at a time?
Exactly.
That's the weirdest thing ever.
So weird.
Especially now with DVR. What did we do before DVR? Like the Endgame, the television series, the Endgame with the chick from Deadpool and the chick from whose husband plays on This Is Us.
Yeah.
I can't watch it until it's over. I mean, I can't. It's on my DVR. I can't watch it because it's like in the middle of something. However, having said that, have you guys seen the series This Is Pam?
No.
With Renee Zellweger? Okay. Then I'll move on because I don't want to spoil it for someone who may have seen it.
Who's this psychopath saying I like watching one episode at a time?
That's Kyle. That's the same guy who said he admires Stringer Bell. Red flag number 2.
I don't watch 2 episodes. It's not like I'm watching one episode on the TV and then one on my phone. I'm not like watching them concurrently. But like you watch one and just drop it and just move on.
How?
No, that doesn't make sense. Because like the HBO has the Lakers documentary on. I know it's not a documentary, but I'm considering it one. I wait for 3 or 4 of those to back up, and then I watch them all in one night, and then I move on one at a time. Kyle, knock it off.
My question to HBO was, how do you renew that for a second season? How does that get renewed for a second season?
Which one?
Kyle's also Canadian, you guys. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
There may be different rules in Canada. Like he might not be able to, double fist it, if you will.
Right.
So good. All right. I was just because the other night I'm watching. I can't watch any past the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it just gets really weird after the first season. But I do love Clark Gibson. But where was I going with this story? Kyle, you're killing me. Oh, yeah, I can't because you guys don't watch it. Never mind. Moving on. Going back to Danny.
And Adam, to answer your question, Winning Time, that Lakers show on HBO got renewed for a second season. I just don't know what we're going to talk about during season 2.
Wait, where does
it's more than one season?
It was.
Well,
I thought it was one season.
No, because I think they're only covering Magic's rookie year.
Oh man, listen.
I feel like they have to go. I think they have to keep going on and on, because I think that if I'm judging it by how quickly, like, the show's not moving fast enough to cover multiple seasons, that they got to just cover. And I didn't watch Sunday's episode because I'm now fully caught up. Once the coach, because actually it's funny because I didn't know, because I remember hearing the name Paul Westhead, and in the show he's the assistant coach and some other guy is the head coach, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Because this guy, the head coach, seems like a G, like, oh, this guy seems cool, like he knows what he's doing, like, does he? And then it ends with an accident, a bicycle accident. I'm like, did this guy die? But I didn't want to look it up because I didn't want to spoil it. But I'm like, well, this has already happened, so it's not like a real spoiler, you know? It's like a weird thing of like, wait a minute, like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I know how this season ends, you know, as somebody who knows history of basketball. But I did not remember this coach. I never heard his name in my entire life.
Paul Westhead?
The coach who Paul Westhead replaces.
Oh, okay.
And then I knew something about, and I grew up as a UNLV fan, so I knew who Jerry Tarkanian was. I never knew. Which is this year? Oh, stop it! You know what? The winningest basketball organization in history. You're taking shots.
No,
although I will say this: both them and the Celtics, little dubious in what they claim as championships. Like Boston, whatever happened in the '60s doesn't count.
Oh, that
get out of here! Nope.
That's
you had
spicy.
You had four teams in the league. Like, nope.
Ooh.
And then the Lakers stopped counting the championships that happened in Minneapolis.
Ooh.
That's a different thing. Like, let's just have a detente and be like, okay, listen, you guys can't count the 60s. You can't count the Minneapolis stuff. Well, why don't we just start it in 1980? Or if you want to go back to like 70, whenever Jerry West won his title, we'll start. Listen to me. That's when we start. Jerry West title. After Jerry West title, because I think even then the Lakers dominated. So Red Auerbach. And by the way, Michael Chiklis, who we talked about earlier, plays Red Auerbach. So that's good. But there is God, I can't even think of the coach's name, who nearly died.
It's like Terry, right?
Yeah, something. No. Yeah. And then and then I had to look up too, because the Lakers got Jerry Tarkanian's best friend killed by offering him the Lakers job. That the mobsters in 1979 took him out so Tarkanian wouldn't leave the running Rebels. And I'm like, this can't be real. But Jeff Pearlman has written a book, and that's where it comes from. And it's like, it's an unsolved.
So that is
case.
true.
It's an LAPD unsolved homicide. It's like the Nicole Brown Simpson thing. Like, it's still an open, like, it's an unsolved case. It's a cold case.
That's wild.
That guy was legit. Like, everything about that you see in that scene at the LA Sheraton, Universal Sheraton, or wherever it was, being in the back of a car with Jerry Buss's business card with him. I don't know if it was on his cheek, but with him.
Ooh.
That part of it was true. And that had been a book by Jeff Pearlman, which a lot of this comes from. So they said that guy also had a lot of gambling debts, but it feels like that kind of thing was the last straw. And if you had ever gone out, because I didn't go to UNLV, but I was out in Las Vegas in the early 90s when Tarkanian was the coach there, late 80s, early 90s. My parents used to take me to Vegas all the time. That town, like, it's hard to describe how hyper that town was for UNLV, that I kind of believe, like, it makes sense. Like, of the mobsters, like 1979 is not too far removed from Ace Rothstein in Casino, to where like, yeah, this all makes sense. And but yeah, I don't even know what my question was. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't care.
You're talking about like the slee stacks and Land of the Lost, and all of a sudden I'm talking about winning time. I blame Kyle.
Yes, this is Kyle's fault. But Gerald, Lakers slander is always welcome. Anytime we get a chance to talk shit about the Lakers, we're here for it.
I'll let you slander this. Because I said this, and this is the cool thing about being a Lakers fan, is when Karl Malone, who I hate Karl Malone.
That's fair.
When Karl Malone and Gary Payton, I always hated as a competitor of like, I don't like you because you're good. Karl Malone was like, I don't hate you because you're probably not a good person. Like, in addition to being somebody who I don't like athletically because you're good, you also seem like the kind of person I don't like. So when he came to the Lakers, not so much Gary Payton. I was fine with Gary Payton. We've taken cast-offs before, and it's fine. When the Lakers went to that series against Detroit and lost the first game, and I think Malone was hurt anyways, I remember sitting in a place called the Tustin Brewing Company and turning to my friend, and I'm like, you know what? If we end up losing this series, that's fine. Because if that means Karl Malone doesn't get a ring, like how spoiled is a fan base? Like there's all these people, like there's Knicks fans who are clamoring, like, oh, I can't wait to finally see a championship in my lifetime. I have seen so many NBA titles where I'm like, nah, we don't need this one. That's fine. Who cares? Let Detroit, and in Detroit, a team that sucks, a team that I hate. And I was just like, at least Malone's not winning it. It was really like a weird, you're like, okay, like I'm going to root for the Lakers. But ultimately, if we don't win and Malone doesn't win a title, that's kind of funny. And I'll live with that. And then LeBron comes in. And like, I remember telling my friends, I'm like, dude, we've been living in hell as Laker fans. And we finally have this young team of budding superstars. And LeBron's going to come in and get rid of every single one of them. They're going to win one title. And then the team's going to be crap again. They're going to look like the Cleveland Cavaliers do now. And it's going to be awful. And then to make matters worse, it ended up being a bubble championship, which again, as a Lakers fan, like, why are we celebrating that? Like, I get
it counts.
It doesn't. I get the Dodgers fans clamoring for their stupid little bubble title because they haven't won S since 1988. So of course it would make sense for them. But Laker fans, Kobe hasn't been gone that long. Like, let's have a little bit more dignity and have a little bit more respect for the Larry O'Brien titles that have actually counted. And you know what? That season, that NBA season, though, was more legitimate than what the Major League Baseball went through. And if I may, I really wish we could normalize this. And this is stemming from Jim Nantz during the Masters broadcast talking about Scotty Scheffler and like, hey, Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl. Clayton Kershaw won a World Series. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you right there, Jim Nantz. Now listen, I have no problem with the Dodgers or the Dodgers fans being proud of their little 60-game bubble tournament that they won. But let's normalize not calling that a World Series because it wasn't. Be very proud of it. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. Make a trophy, put up a banner. I don't care what you do. Just do not call it a World Series. It is disrespectful to the men who have won legitimate World Series in the past. I am sorry. Clayton Kershaw does not belong in the same conversation as Madison Bumgarner as a World Series champion. He just doesn't. You won a 60-game bubble tournament in Texas. Call it the Texas two-step, whatever. Make a trophy. Have a parade. I won't stop you from celebrating. If my team had won it, I would have been proud of it as well. I would not have called it a World Series. That's just me, though.
Gladys, can you take that rant and send it to Vince McMahon. Adam, you'd be a great heel. Like I can see you on Monday Night Raw now, like just ripping Kevin Owens in half. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It was great. It was a great round, I have to admit.
Yeah,
Although-
clip that off for me. Now I can get more people upset at me.
That's okay. That's okay. But
We're always upset.
you got the Lakers being in hell for the next 3 years. I'm gonna get a lot of joy out of that.
Oh, it's happening.
It's gonna be
And
it's gonna be Meanwhile, Luka's gonna be in Dallas just beating everyone's butt. Oh, it's gonna be great. I love it.
Is that your team, Danny?
I am. I'm
Dallas?
a Mavericks fan.
Okay. Luka, whatever.
Whoa. We don't brush Luka off like that.
Well, what are we
Luka-
doing now? He's great.
Luka's all NBA, and he could be MVP. He doesn't deserve it, but he's in the conversation.
Totally.
Like I said, I live in Denver, Steelers fan, so there's really no Pittsburgh professional basketball team, and I refuse to cheer for the Nuggets because they're ridiculous. But
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You don't like Jokic?
no, I'm not a big Jokic fan.
That's fair.
No. Anyway, let's not talk about NBA because I'm not a big NBA fan, quite honestly.
Okay.
That's fair.
We already had this conversation, hadn't we?
We just had it.
About me not being a big NBA fan. Which reminds me, 5 o'clock today, my time. So what is that? 7 Eastern time or whatever. WNBA draft babies. Get on it. I think it's as entertaining as the men's draft. If not more so.
Who's Atlanta taking 1 overall, Gladys? Put your money down. Open up DraftKings. Put your bet on who's Atlanta taking 1 overall.
I'm down to like $7 in DraftKings right now.
Okay.
Although it was a really good build-up during March Madness. Did you know, and I'll answer your question, did you know that this was the first year that the women's NCAA tournament could be called March Madness?
I did not know that.
Yeah. It was like a men's thing. They couldn't use the number March Madness until this year. The Ryan from Kentucky is going number 1, which is absolutely going to devastate Kentucky. Kentucky has 5 girls in the portal right now. So they're going to lose 5 girls and Ryan. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, you don't like Kentucky basketball? You don't like the Blue Bloods?
I went to U of L, so the answer is no. I do not like the Blue Bloods at all. When they lost to St. Pete, I was so very happy. So it really screwed up my whole tournament, but I didn't care.
Who cares? Yeah, when a team like that you hate loses.
Exactly. You're like, yeah, here, take my money. I don't care.
Kentucky is your Karl Malone.
Yes. It's one of those things like my bracket's blown up, but it's cool.
But it's cool.
Kentucky's out. Then Duke kept scaring me, but finally they got their comeuppance.
Beautiful. It was so much joy watching Coach K go home.
Oh.
Wow.
To North Carolina. Like North Carolina didn't even have to win. Doesn't even whatever. Did they win? No, they got smoked. No, they rallied.
They blew a 15-point lead to Kansas.
They blew a 15-point lead.
Who cares? You beat Duke. There's nothing that anything could happen. I will tell you, my niece lives in Kansas, and she's a North Carolina fan. And she's like, I had to wear that from all these Kansas punks. But she's like, and ultimately, we not only ended his last game in Cameron Indoor, but we ended his career. And I'm like, that's pretty satisfying. That's worth I don't know. If you were the Dodgers, you would make up a title for it. You would just call yourself national champions and call it a day.
Shouldn't Kansas be on probation? That's the problem with
the
college.
feds are on the way.
Kansas should be on probation. Memphis is going to be on probation, and they still allowed them to play. I thought Jim Boeheim said he was quitting 3 years ago when he hit the guy on the highway. I mean, I don't understand.
Mark Few was drunk driving and like
Mark Few's drunk driving. I mean,
but poor Jerry Tarkanian had the
Exactly.
NCAA up his rear end forever. And like that was the thing. Like there was we were talking about this on Twitter a couple of days ago, like last week when Duke lost. So it was like Vegas locally was tweeting this out. And I'm like, people don't understand, obviously people are like, well, what happened the next year when they lost to Duke? I'm like, what happened the next year was that they had Ed O'Bannon and some other guy who ended up playing at UCLA coming. So they would, and I don't know if Ed O'Bannon had I forgive the timeline. Again, I was very young. But they had Ed O'Bannon and they had another guy who ended up playing a significant role at UCLA coming to a team that already had Larry Johnson and George Ackles and Anderson Hunt and Greg Anthony. I know I'm forgetting some of the great ones, but they were going to be even more loaded. They would have beaten Duke by 50 this time around, but they put them on probation. Those two guys left, went to UCLA, and then they're like, well, I guess you can play in the tournament. You're like, well, these guys left already. And I don't know if it was exactly this year because I can't remember what Jason Kidd's timeline. They had Jason Kidd coming to school too. And you have to imagine that if Ed O'Bannon was at UNLV, and by the way, Ed O'Bannon lives in Vegas, has car dealerships there, shows up at Thomas and Mack Arena more than he ever shows up at Pauley Pavilion. You have to figure that Charles O'Bannon eventually ends up there too. Like how great that dynasty would have been. We might not have ever heard of Duke. They might have just been Mike Krzyzewski could have been the Mark Few of his era.
Ooh, Adam, I'm loving the spice. This is right up my alley.
I'm sad about a lot of things. I think if you haven't watched the television show with Bomani Jones that comes on after John Oliver's last week tonight, it's a good show that you should check out. And he also did a great job of taking down Duke a couple of weeks ago. He's done a really nice job with that show. His dissertation on Duke was fantastic. He had Jalen Rose on, and I remember talking to Jalen Rose one time. I said, hey, I go, Jalen, I go, hey, let me ask you a question. I go, do you think your Fab Five team could have beaten that UNLV team? And he laughed. He goes, no. I'm like, what? I was shocked. He's like, oh no. He's like, you don't understand. He's like, I loved that UNLV team. Loved them. And he's like, I was so mad when they lost. And so we talked about that at great length. And so Jalen really hates Duke. And he's still upset about it. And I think it's fantastic. But I think that's good. And but Bomani Jones's show did a great job of illustrating of how Mike Krzyzewski changed like his perception. Like these Duke teams always have these hateable white guys. And then he goes and coaches Team USA and gets Kobe and LeBron on his side. Like that should have never been allowed to happen. Because that did, like, he stopped looking like and you know that he's still terrible. Like he's not changed. Like he just was, it makes me more upset. He's so calculated. He figured that, because of course he's a smart guy who was probably cheating harder than Jerry Tarkanian ever did. But getting away with it because he's one of the favored sons. Oh my gosh. So I'm glad they're done. And I'm glad he's gone. And I'm glad that he lost. And I was like one of those, I think like a lot of UNLV fans just would not cede like any sort of sympathy. Because people were like, oh, well, if you're not a fan of the Tar Heels, then you should be rooting for Duke. You're like, no.
No, I should not.
No.
I will not do that.
No, I will not.
I think LeBron was talking about that during the women's Final Four. They had Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi doing like the Peyton and Eli Manning thing on ESPN2. They were great. I thought, like, I missed like 3/4 of the game, but they were great. And I think Bird specifically asked LeBron about Coach K coaching that team, and he kind of like danced around it. He's like, well, we had like Kobe and we had me and we had this and we had that. So it wasn't specifically that Coach K was like this great coach coming in. It's like, no, we were loaded. We were stacked.
No,
But-
it was clout chasing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the greatest scam of all time. We could have
greatest
coached
clout-
Team USA and won gold.
With Kobe and LeBron. Like he was clout chasing like no other. Like
And
anybody.
Dwayne Wade was on that team too, right? Like
Yeah.
that was like, come on, man. What are we talking about? We could have
yeah,
won
I
gold.
mean, it's kind of like, and this would be my rant. The chick that coached Baylor and then went to LSU
Mhm.
to coach the women's, whose name I kind of block out of my head. You're coaching really good players. It's
Yeah.
not that you're a really good coach. You're coaching really good women players. And in a women's game, that means a lot. Like, good for you, Gino, but I'm sorry, you were second seed at home. You were second seed and you got put in your home stadium.
Yeah.
That's not really saying much. So that's my I love women's basketball. I just wish the parity was more equal. Like if you picked all 4 number 1 seeds, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah. I wish I miss the days of UC Santa Barbara being a women's powerhouse. I always thought that was like one of the neatest things. And I don't know. And again, this goes back to UNLV in the late 80s, early 90s, begging my mom to let me stay up to watch Big Monday because the 9:00 game was UNLV versus whatever random Big West school they were playing. And when they would go to Santa Barbara, that place was bananas. And it was a 6,000 seat stadium that the bleachers were just all the way down to the floor. And whenever Santa Barbara scored the first basket, or whenever Santa Barbara scored a basket, they would throw tortillas onto the floor.
Oh
my God.
And it was a big thing. And like, and Jerry Tarkanian even wrote about it in his book. He's like, I hated playing Santa Barbara because of their crowd. And I always hated playing Fullerton because they always had really good players, but were horribly coached, but had really good players who always played great against us, which makes sense because they had like Bruce Bowen and Cedric Ceballos and all these guys. Didn't win anything, but and that's where I would eventually go to school. And so the thing of it is that those crazy fans were not as riled up as when UNLV, the best team in college basketball was coming to town for the men's, but for the women's, they would have energetic crowds and they would have like a lot of support from the community. So it was really like a cool thing. Like Santa Barbara, like they should be good. Their men's team, it's inexcusable that their men's team's not a Gonzaga type of school. But to see the women, and I kind of miss that they're not good like that anymore. Like I always thought it was cool. And it was fun watching them in the Big West tournament because it was just as ridiculous because they would play like Idaho, whose center would be about 6 feet tall. And the point guard from Santa Barbara would always be like 6'2" or whatever. Like, so it was so, and I remember one time Santa Barbara almost lost to Idaho. That's why I'm thinking of this. And I'm like, how is this happening? And then they pulled it off in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I kind of like I like women's basketball too. I didn't always like it until I started covering it more. And then you started because I played high school basketball. And so you would always I was always still, I think, resentful because when I played JV, like varsity boys got the 3:00 gym. The women had it from 5 to 7. And the JV kids, we didn't get on the court till 9.
Oh, wow.
9:00. No, wait,
Wow.
7:00, which means we didn't end till 9:00. But it was late. So yeah, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 9. So we were 7 to 9. It was terrible. And I didn't play varsity as a junior, which shows you how good I was. But in any event, when I started covering women's basketball, I started liking it a lot more. But I agree with you. I wish there was more of there was a St. Pete's of the women's side that would go on these runs and be crazy. Because the women's tournament could be 8 teams. Like they should just have 8 teams playing best of 3 series or whatever. But
Well, they did have. Wait, why didn't you go to Why didn't you go to Vegas?
why didn't I go to Vegas? It's a long, complicated story, but I had to stay close to home.
Okay.
So I was living
Valid.
close to Cal State Fullerton. So I know, and it sucks too because UNLV, if you live in California, Utah, Arizona, or
Kim Mulkey. That's me.
you get in-state tuition. Like you would be counted as a state's in-state. Like they needed people to go to UNLV.
Right.
So yeah, so it's one of those things. So I didn't get a chance to go, but it would have been awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up bad memories.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's a legitimate
No,
question. Don't feel bad. Don't even feel bad.
Okay. And I'm not. And I'm good. I'm all right. I'm over it. It's so easy. It's so easy. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry. I still feel like we have your second. We haven't done your second one yet.
Oh no, this has been fun. I don't even have a second one anymore. Just we can throw it out the window. This is better than anything I had to talk about.
I would listen. I was going to go in a number of different directions. I just was always ready. By the way, do you guys like Parks and Recreation, the TV show?
That's another show I started and just stopped.
Yeah.
I have a bad habit of that.
Like,
I have a real bad habit of that.
Why does everyone think this is funny? No. I love Ricky Gervais. Don't get me wrong. But from the English part, but I don't. That show isn't funny to me.
Not The Office, Parks and Rec.
Whoa! Office, not Office slander. Oh my goodness!
Are you slamming The Office?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Is this a true story?
Whoa.
True story.
It is.
Chill, girl.
What the hell?
I don't think it's funny. I think
you don't think The Office is funny.
The
fire drill. Come on, that's the best cold open ever.
Oh my god!
Someone was trying to tell me about a part where they bought in NBA players as ringers or something, and I watched it and I'm like, still not funny.
Is that The Office of Parks and Rec?
I think that's Parks and Rec, and I think they brought in the Colts.
No, this was who did they bring in? I can't remember, but I'm like,
are you thinking of The Simpsons? And Montgomery Burns brings in all the ringers.
Okay, so let me just ask both of you.
Office?
The funniest TV sitcom. Go.
Scrubs.
Scrubs is pretty good. Scrubs is pretty. See, it's not like you have a funny bone. It's just that, Scrubs is good. And it's still good that those two do like commercials and stuff together. I think it's hilarious.
I love it.
What, Dan?
I'll go with Martin. In Office is a very close second.
The Office is close second to Martin?
Yes. The Office is hilarious. Again, you can't beat the fire drill. Like that is the best cold open in history. It is so funny.
Now I'm gonna have to watch it because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I will send you the link after this. I will send you the link to the.
It's worth it, yeah.
Because it's not funny. It's not a funny show. I can't. I don't. I guess I just don't get that kind of humor.
It is very dry. It's very like Seinfeld-ish dry, but I find Seinfeld to be hilarious too. So,
funny.
Okay.
Who's the main guy? Who's the main guy in The Office?
Steve Carell.
I think Steve Carell's hilarious.
Yes.
And anything else, like anything else.
You're like, I love Burt Wonderstone, but hate The Office.
Wow, that might be the craziest thing we've heard today. We've heard some crazy stuff today. That might be.
I've said a lot of things that have been crazy.
Yeah, but that takes the cake. The Office is not funny.
It's not funny. They have individual characters that are just hilarious, right? Yeah. But as a cohesive unit,
that's what makes it funny. Like there's a bunch of individuals doing funny things.
Yeah,
it's funny.
No,
that's going to be the rant tonight. It's going to be a 21-minute rant about how you don't like The Office.
That is crazy. Yeah, even Ryan thinks or Kyle, but I don't have my readers on.
Yeah, Kyle, the potential serial killer, thinks The Office is funny. Oh, the CPR bid. Come on, it's so funny. It's so funny.
He's got the thing on his face. I love that.
Of course, he thinks Office is funny.
Staying alive.
Oh God, the marathon and the fettuccine. Like it's just like there's just so many. The basketball game, the camping trip.
They have so many throwaway lines and bits that like sometimes have nothing to do with the plot. And it's so funny. I remember one where Michael is in New York City and he's like, I'm here. He's like, when I'm in New York, I gotta get me a New York slice. And he runs into a Sbarro.
Come on,
hilarious. Man. But it's like it's in character. But it doesn't do anything into the plot, but it's just funny. And then there's another one where they have the student where they're at the high school trying to recruit for summer.
Oh
intern.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? He's like, I would never say this to Pam's face, but I think she's a gifted artist, and I can't imagine my life without her. And they're like, why wouldn't you say that to her face? And so that's always something that I always do that. I always like steal that and try to say that about people. I'm like, hey, I wouldn't say this to Marcus Grant's face, but he's a hard worker, and I can't imagine Fantasy Live without him. Like, why wouldn't you say that to his face? I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Scott's Tots. Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's the worst. That's the worst episode.
So cringeworthy. Gladys, I'll send you the link if I can find the full episode of Scott's Tots. Like if you don't watch any other episode of The Office, like Scott's Tots. And that's not even the best episode ever. It's just funny and really awkward.
So terrible.
All right. I think that we've come to our end.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's crazy.
I know. Oh, you're going to go on a Friends rant, aren't you?
I'm going to go on a what?
I'm just kidding. Nope. I don't want to get you started.
Please don't. Please don't.
What do you think?
You like Friends?
Nothing. Who likes
No.
Friends?
Oh, okay. I thought I was okay. Never mind. Ignore me. I'm over here looking up Scott's
Friends, I think,
Tots.
is one of those sitcoms that has aged poorly, very poorly. And so, yeah, no.
But it's so comforting. Like if it's late at night and I need background noise on and I need something that's not going to distract me.
Okay.
It's very easy for me to put on Friends. But it is one of those things like I don't remember ever I remember watching Friends and I like Friends, and I know all the episodes and I'm like, did I ever laugh at this show? Like, what am I like? Is there anything like the first couple of seasons? I think season 1, Bill Lawrence, the creator of Scrubs and Spin City and Cougar Town and all that stuff, he was a writer on Friends, and I think that version of Chandler was the most relatable to what he becomes in later seasons. And I'm like, oh, there's some actual funny bits here. And then progressively, but then it's always one of those things too. It's like Friends is on and I want to put it on as background noise, but I'm like, what season is it? Like season 8, nope, I'm out.
Exactly. Season 1, yeah. Season 1 I'll turn on. And if you can write an article, you can do research because you're not really listening to it. But once it gets to where Chandler and what's her face get together, and then
Monica, yeah. Post Chandler and Monica's marriage, I think it kind of dipped.
No. I don't know who said the slander that I like Friends. Danny.
I was making an observation. I was wrong.
Yeah, whatever.
My bad.
What? That's not
my bad.
It's not even possible. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Hank.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for accommodating me and allowing me to come on a little bit early so I can take my kids to the zoo tonight.
The zoo?
For Glow Night. They just put up a lot of lights. Listen, it's another reason to get us to pay extra money to go to the zoo, even though we already support them. It's local. It's a local zoo. I don't mind giving them money. It's fine. Just ask me for the money. I will happily donate it to you. This is a worthwhile thing.
Okay. And Mr. Ocean, thank you for filling in for Mr. Banks.
Anytime.
That's not his name, but that's his
Danny Ocean.
It's his Twitter handle. Part of his
Twitter. I love it. By the way, I will also tell you that Ocean's 12 was a delightful movie. I know that people don't like 12? It's the middle one.
Yeah.
Where they're
That's
in Europe.
With Bernie Mac, right? No, Bernie Mac's Bernie's in all of them. He's in all of them.
Wait, it's the one where they're in Europe where she plays Julia Roberts?
Yes.
That wouldn't have been my pick, but
I'm not saying it's my favorite of the three, or even four, because Ocean's
What's your
8
favorite?
No, I like 11. Like 11, the first one. The
Yeah.
first, not the Sinatra one, but the
Right.
first one that they did, the first Soderbergh one, I think is a great, like that's perfect. Like that was good. 13's really good. I like 12 because 12 actually plays the closest to the original Frank Sinatra version, because the whole thing of like the original Ocean's 11 with Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis and all that stuff.
In the
It
original
was-
one, they lose the money though, right?
you don't want to give out spoilers.
Thanks a lot,
The original one
Gladys.
is
I was
Frank
going to watch
Sinatra.
the original.
If you haven't seen it,
I've never watched the original.
Cheese
The
and
ending
crackers,
of the ending of the original one is actually very good. I like it because it's nostalgic,
right?
and so I like the original. I'm not going to besmirch the original.
No,
But
I
the
like
original, the whole reason they made that movie is that they just wanted to hang out in Las Vegas and party.
Yes.
And Sinatra was trying to get close to Peter Lawford because he wanted to get close to the president, or the JFK, who was running for president
Right.
at the time. And Ocean's 12 is very similar to where they're like, let's go make a bunch of money. We'll have it based in Europe this time. We'll stay out at George Clooney's Lake Como home, and we'll just make a movie while we're out there. And we're going to phone it in, and we're going to mail it in, but we're going to have fun. And this is like the original, where they're like, they don't care. They're barely acting. It's convoluted. You're like, whatever. It's just fun. It just makes me happy to see it. And I made my 6-year-old watch it with me one day. Was it 12 or 13 that I made her watch with me? It was her and I. We were alone, and she wanted to go to bed. I'm like, hey, can we wait? Can you watch the end of this movie? And it was on TV, so there was commercials.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, fine. Like, when is this going to be over? Like,
Oh, she didn't like it?
She's a 6-year-old. She's not going to love Ocean's 12, but she hung in there with me, and we made it. And that's it.
Huh. Ocean's. I like
Ocean's
them.
12. I like them all.
I like them all,
All
including
4
the
and 8. Yes, the Sinatra one, the 3 Soderberghs, and the one with Anne Hathaway and Sandra Bullock. I like that one too.
Ocean 8.
Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
They need to do another one, because I thought
They do need to do another one of those, because that.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was good. I liked it. It was they had the same like theme, like revenge. So people were like, well, this is stupid. Like, Sandra Bullock is doing this for revenge. I'm like, yeah, like her brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this family's motivated by petty revenge. Like it tracks.
It
Like,
fits.
that's what I like about it. Yeah. They were raised the same way.
It was awesome, and the outfits in it were just
Oh.
ridiculously great. Ocean's 8 was probably one of my. I would do the first one, Ocean's 11, and then Ocean's 8 as the top 2.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, if I was, had to judge, which I
Okay.
don't want. I don't want to judge. I like them all.
Yes.
And I totally forgot what I was talking about. Anyway, so next week is Kyle and his crazy takes on things with
I can't wait to hear that.
I know. And 11 and 8, that's what I said. 11 and 8 are the 2 best. And then the week after we have Mr. Grant on. So we're going to talk a little bit of the draft, which here's my question. Does anyone play in a league that offensive linemen get points?
I doubt it.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. I want to play
I
in a
mean,
league.
somebody probably does. I don't know. Put it out on
I've
Twitter.
never, but I would like to.
All
That would be awesome. Although it's just more research, so maybe
I
not.
play in a points per pancake league, and
Yeah.
Points per pancake?
yeah,
That sounds interesting.
like a pancake block.
Oh, okay. I was thinking actual food because
No,
Oh
Why
no,
would-
pancakes are the best blocks in football.
yeah, that's the pancake block is when you knock a guy flat on his back like a pancake.
Yeah. And then you lie on
So-
top of them for a minute to let them know.
Did you think
that
I was
that
talking
you
like,
won.
yeah, we play a point per ribeye? Like, no,
Yeah.
I mean like a pancake block.
what is happening here? Um, so you draft an offensive lineman for his pancake blocked.
I was making a joke. I've never played in
yeah.
a league like that. I'm just
Oh my
saying.
God.
Put it down as another one of my great ideas.
Yeah, you had her. She was like, "Send me the
I know.
link. I want to
I was,
join."
like,
You had her.
totally into it.
You should have kept that one going. Like
You
that was
should have kept
money.
How did I drop it? I thought you realized it. Oh, that's so terrible.
You should have kept that one going.
That would have been awesome. Let's take advantage of the sick girl. Why not? She's not on drugs. She's missing the WNBA draft. It's okay.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. We're gonna go watch. We're gonna go. So in your zoo, is it what's the name of the zoo?
It's the desert. It's in Palm Desert. It's the desert. Hold on.
Okay.
I can find the proper name of it. I got the tickets right here. The extra tickets that we had to purchase. The Living Desert. That's right.
So the
It's
animals
called
aren't caged; they're like kind of just roaming.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they're not in like little cubby cages, but
No.
you know, you like the cheetahs aren't walking free. There is a barrier to keep the cheetahs from eating us.
They wouldn't eat you.
Yeah,
Unless
we're
you
too.
just-
I always tell that to my kids. I'm like, no, we're too bony. Like,
Yeah, they're not gonna
animals
eat you.
don't like us because we're like 200 plus bones. There's not a lot of meat on us.
We need more.
We're
Yeah,
not worth it. We're not worth it.
you're not
But
worth the
sharks
time.
spit us out.
You're not worth the time.
Like we're the flats of the animal
The
species.
flats of the animals.
There you
Like,
go.
nobody wants it.
Comes
There
full
you
circle.
There it is. I'm a genius, but I gotta run. As you're choking to death.
What is your week look like?
Tomorrow, 7:00. Speak on it with me and D. We're gonna have some fun.
There you go.
Lakers slander for everybody. Playoffs. I'm gonna get my Lakers jokes off. He's a Lakers fan, so I'm gonna make fun of him for 40 minutes.
Okay, sounds like a good time. 7:00 Eastern time.
7 Eastern.
We need to make Mountain Time the time. Now that Russell Wilson is here with Sierra,
He's not that important.
Nope.
wow.
That's the worst take ever. Of everything that we talked about. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the
Even worse than the community?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that. Worse than the community. Thank you guys for tuning in early. And for those of you who aren't tuning in early or going to listen to the restream of it, thank you for listening to the restream of it. We are, again, thank you, Mr. Rank, for moving with us so that we could have you on the show. You're
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Appreciate
Always.
you.
Except, for your takes on some
That's fair.
comedies, but whatever.
I got it. It's fair.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Bill Burr. And
Oh, yeah.
Brian Regan. I really love Brian Regan. Maybe Brian Regan's my favorite.
Brian Regan is the one that had the slow draw when he talked.
No, he's a New Yorker who's famous for being a clean comic, and that's what he's famous, like clean comic, who's very funny, and he makes a lot of interesting faces and noise. Like he's awesome. Like it's hard to I can't even attempt to do it. Like with some comics, I could attempt to do their
Oh yeah, no, that's not
do the way they do it, but I won't do it. But
Okay,
Brian Regan's awesome.
Danny, who's your favorite comedian?
That's a loaded question. I have to think about that. Ask me next week. I need a lot of time to think about that.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
both of you coming on. Danny, I appreciate you changing your schedule up a lot to come on.
Nope.
Hopefully you and your wife get to Aruba soon. That would make me happy.
That would make me happy.
George Carlin. That's Kyle's favorite comedian. George Carlin's Canadian too, wasn't he?
Ooh, I can't tell you.
Maybe. George Carlin. Richard Pryor is up there.
Very funny.
Yeah. So have fun at the Glow at the Zoo tonight. even though it's not women's wrestling as I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm disappointed, but now I'm retroactively disappointed. But yes.
And then Danny, Kyle and I ain't listening to anymore. Next week, though, we will listen to Kyle. Tomorrow, we will listen to Danny. Mr. Rank, do you have shows on besides being guest?
Yeah, if you want to tune into the Sick Podcast, take it to the rank Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're not a Bears fan, you probably won't enjoy it as much.
8 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
On Tuesdays? So, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm telling you, Mountain Time Standard.
There it is. We'll be on right after Danny, so it'll be a whole block.
Where are you? What are you on? What's the
So
format?
you can find me on YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Take it to the rank.
Yep.
Listen to Chicago stuff.
The Sick Podcast with Adam Rank.
The Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube.
And then we do episodes we drop on Thursdays.
Okay.
That are different.
Thank you much, all of you.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Thank you.
And I will be seeing you soon, maybe. Probably not. Well, I'll see you. You won't see me.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you, Gladys.
Thank you, Adam.